In April 2024, we boarded an Emirates flight from Glasgow bound for Dubai. This was our first time on an Airbus A380 and I was really looking forward to it. It's undoubtedly the largest plane I've ever been on, with a massive amount of legroom for a short arse like me, and the entertainment options were incredible. I noticed that the first round of the US Masters was an option, so I set myself an alarm and settled down to watch the Liverpool versus Atalanta Europa League quarter-final first leg with a can of Stella. It's fair to say that I was enjoying the flight, certainly more than the Liverpool players ended up enjoying the game. Our hotel in Dubai was the Crown Plaza at the Marina, where we booked bed and breakfast. It was quite an early start after the flight, and breakfast in the terrace overlooking the Marina was a lovely start to the day. The breakfast options were extensive and we watched quite a few people totally booting the arse out of it. Sorry, I meant to say ensuring that they got their money's worth. Our plans for the day were to head to the Dubai Frame, then to the mall, before heading to the Burj Khalifa. We picked up some silver NOL cards for the transport systems and found out that you only get charged 5 UAD for your journey if you use the trains and buses within 30 minutes of each other. We jumped on the tube and then caught a bus to the Frame. We'd bought tickets online in advance, but we still had to queue for maybe 20 minutes. The lift was pretty quick and was quite entertaining in itself. The Frame itself is 150 metres high, 95 metres wide and has a glass insert in its floor. On researching it, I found out that the design was the winning entry in a 2008 competition by a Mexican architect called Fernando Donis, who contested that his winning design was used without him receiving a contract or any payment, only the prize money for winning the competition. Looking out one side of the Frame gives you a view of the new modern areas of the city, whilst the other side is a total contrast, showing much older, more residential type buildings. As you leave the building, there's a short video projecting the Dubai of the future, which is also quite good fun. We enjoyed our visit to the Frame, which is a very impressive structure. We retraced our steps via a bus and train and then walked quite a distance to get to the Dubai Mall. The station was linked to the mall via an elevated and air-conditioned walkway, which keeps you out of the heat and also away from the traffic. When we arrived at the mall, we came across this wee guy, a Pudductor 2. I looked it up online and it's a disinfection robot which the manufacturers claim helps to keep areas safe and virus free. We soon came across the mall's aquarium, which is seriously impressive. The 10 million litre tank contains 140 aquatic species, including over 400 sharks and rays. I've always been fascinated by sharks and really enjoyed seeing them up close. After the aquarium we headed for the food court. This was also impressive, but with over 150 outlets, choosing what to eat was not easy for someone as indecisive as me when it comes to tasty grub, but I eventually plumped for a couple of Iranian kebabs with naan bread and some tasty and spicy dips. After lunch we found the 24 metre high mall waterfall, which is quite a spectacle. The fiberglass figures represent pearl divers, which used to be one of the main sources of livelihood in the region. The mall also has an Olympic-sized ice rink and the genuine skeleton of a Diplodocus named Dubai Dino, which was discovered in Wyoming in 2008. It felt very exciting but also surreal to be standing beside the skeleton of a 150 million year old dinosaur. The mall's huge, housing over 1,200 mostly designer shops. You could easily get lost in it, and we easily did, trying to find our way to the entrance of the Burj Khalifa. This animation shows the progress of the building of the Burj, which was quite fascinating and very informative to watch. Over 13,000 workers worked round the clock for 6 years to build the world's tallest building. It tops out at 828 metres and they managed to construct a new floor every 3 days. We jumped in the lift and were very quickly and very smoothly whisked up to the observation deck on the 124th floor. The animation on the lift journey was also really cool, futuristic and entertaining. At 555 metres in the air, the views across the city from the observation deck were excellent, and we got to watch the fountain show while we were up there, and although the water jets reach 140 metres, they look tiny from the top. Unfortunately, the glass in the windows reflects some of the light, resulting in the footage suffering a little. Again, we had booked our tickets online, and Corinne fancied including the 3-course meal in the restaurant after our visit to the top. I think it ended up costing around £30 for the meal, which was very reasonable. The food was lovely, and the setting, sitting below the Burj and above the fountains, was really spectacular. Again, this is something that I would thoroughly recommend. The fountain show takes place every 30 minutes, and the water dances to a rotating soundtrack of Western, Arabic and classical music. They were very entertaining and drew huge crowds. If you're enjoying this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to my channel. Thanks, all small acts of recognition are seriously appreciated. The next day we decided to go for a wee walk around the marina. It was lovely seeing all the boats and having the "what if we won the lottery" conversation. As you'll probably know, the price of alcohol in Dubai is quite prohibitively expensive. The price of a pint was around the £14 mark, and it's surprising how long you can actually nurse one at those prices. The marina walk from our hotel to the Cayenne Tower and back was around 4 miles. It won't surprise you to hear that the marina is one of the largest in the world, with no end of seriously impressive buildings to look at along the way. This was also thirsty work, and our hotel bar stepped up to the plate admirably, and keeping us hydrated with a couple of very cold and very refreshing pints of Stella. On our last night in Dubai, we had a nice meal in the hotel Thai restaurant before going for a wee walk along the marina, which looked equally as pretty lit up. It was really weird to see the moon as a crescent on the bottom, as we always see it as a side. Having never been out this way before, I didn't even know that this was the case. Breakfast on our last day in Dubai. And the preferred breakfast has been poached eggs on toast with smoked salmon. Absolutely lovely. Because we're doing it like 6:30 in the morning, first thing, we've managed to get the prime spot overlooking the marina. The next day we headed back to Dubai International Airport and boarded a Thai International Airlines flight to Hong Kong. Corinne was a little concerned, but needn't have been, as the plane, flight and service from Thai was excellent. Our hotel for our stay in Hong Kong was a Harbour Grand on the north shore of Kowloon Harbour. The foyer of the hotel was quite stunning, and we were very happy with our deluxe harbour view room. The view from the room looking out over the harbour was awesome, and we had a nice chaise longue, a huge king-size bed and a very nice bathroom. The inlaid carpet was also lovely until Corinne spilled her fake tan on it. This area was a really good base to explore Hong Kong, with the nearest metro station being Whampoa, which was handily placed at only about 300 metres away. I took a wee wander up onto the roof to check out the pool, and the view was fantastic. On our first day we caught the metro down to the Star Ferry terminal, grabbed some breakfast and went for a wander along to the Avenue of the Stars, which honours the actors and directors of the Hong Kong film industry. It's fair to say that we didn't recognise many of those honoured, but there were one or two names that rung a bell. Not many people realise just how much of a resemblance there is between Bruce Lee and myself, especially Corinne. I asked her if we looked alike and she replied, "No, you look like a tool." It's so comforting to know that I can always rely on her support. Our next stop was at the Peninsula, the Grand Dame of Hong Kong hotels. We popped in for a look at this famous building and met a lovely young English girl who was working there on a secondment. What a beautiful place to work. The recently restored lobby was absolutely spectacular, although I did feel a little underdressed. In the middle of the hustle and bustle of this very vibrant city is Kowloon Park. This park, just off Nathan Road, is a haven of peace and tranquility, containing ornamental gardens, waterfalls, an aviary and a multitude of beautiful plants and trees. I really enjoyed wandering around it and was surprised to see so many flamingos in one of the ponds. I've always found the sound of running water to be very relaxing, unless you've just hired a dodgy plumber. These are great examples of very old banyan trees which can be spotted fairly regularly around the city. They're quite remarkable looking and unlike anything I've ever seen before. A daily highlight in Hong Kong is the Symphony of Lights, which takes place every day at 8 PM. This is the world's largest permanent sound and light show. It's quite a spectacle and draws huge crowds to the harbour side. It lasts for about 15 minutes, so I've speeded up some of the footage here. That night we ate in a bar restaurant called Doghouse, where we shared some chili beef nachos, had a couple of beers and listened to a live band who were decent. Our hotel in Hong Kong was room only, so we headed for the IFC Mall, where we found a Pret-a-Manger which became our go-to breakfast provider. I must admit, I do like a Pret. Leaving the mall on their way to the Victoria Peak tram led us through the square in the middle of the financial centre. This was a stunning space with beautiful sculptures and a water feature in the middle of these huge skyscraper buildings. You've probably noticed three recurring themes by now. I'm a sucker for banyan trees, water features and a nice cold beer. The Victoria Peak funicular tram has been running since the 1880s and is one of the world's steepest railways. It only takes 8 minutes to whisk you up the 400 metres to the peak, and it's a really enjoyable wee journey. As we left the peak tower building at the top, there was a honey trap of a bar which effortlessly ensnared another couple of victims with its tempting wares. Their pint of cold leffy felt like the equivalent of finding an oasis in the desert. Feeling suitably rehydrated, we set off on the Peak Circle Walk, which is around 2 miles long. This relatively flat, fully paved trail is mostly shaded from the sun and is a lovely wee walk around the top of the mountain. There are some beautiful views as you wander past some of the most expensive real estate in the area. The beer must have been kicking in at this point as Corinne started dancing. I had no idea that they toilet trained their dogs over here, and whilst I appreciate that Oriental men are a little smaller than Westerners, these urinals seem to be exceptionally low. Having completed the walk, we headed back down the hill on the tram and came across this very futuristic square which had neon inserts in the pavement, which was pretty cool looking. At the risk of outing ourselves as a couple of jakies, our next stop was to a wee cocktail bar called Whiskey and Words, which is just off the Hollywood Road on Hong Kong Island. I had a Talisker based cocktail called a Smoky Yin Yang and Corey needed a screwdriver. Mine was lovely, and the tamarind and fig candy, which was to be tasted before taking a drink, complemented the cocktail nicely. I tried to do a wee bit of keep fit when we were away, and the gym in Hong Kong was my favourite, purely because of the view. At this point I was about a month into my 100-day cough and I really didn't want to push myself too hard, so I kept the sessions light. We then ticked off another box in our to-do list by taking the 20-minute crossing on the Star Ferry from Kowloon to Hong Kong Island. The ferry is a Hong Kong institution, has been running for over 130 years and carries over 26 million passengers on the crossing per year. This is the Man Mo Temple on Hollywood Road, which is well worth a visit. The temple, which is dedicated to the gods of literature and war, was built around 1842, making it one of the city's oldest temples. I enjoyed having a wee look around the many temples in the cities we visited and considered embracing some of the Buddhist philosophies. I was however put off a little when I read the 5th precept of abstaining from drink or drugs that are an opportunity for heedlessness. I rather enjoy an occasional bout of heedlessness and have little time for religious zealots. Maybe Buddhism light could be the answer. Here's another example of a well-established banyan tree with a really interesting piece of street art below it depicting dragons via etched mirrored glass. Unfortunately, the full effect hasn't been caught in the footage. We then made our way towards Causeway Bay, home of the famous Happy Valley Racecourse. The street furniture and big screens here were something else and entertained us as we waited for a taxi to the racecourse. We were very impressed with the setup there. They had excellent huge screens showing the racing, plenty of options to eat and drink, a great selection of beers available and a live band to entertain the crowd between races. The atmosphere was excellent and the place was buzzing. We had a great night, managed to pick a couple of winners and came out having only lost about a tenner, which given my history of days at the horse racing is a bloody good result. When we surfaced the next day it was to a hail shower and some thunder and lightning. This was the only time we had to get the rain jackets out of the case, which we donned and headed out. It was also the first time I've seen an umbrella dryer, which seemed to be a very effective piece of kit. Our plans for the date were to catch a train and head over to Lantau Island to see the Big Buddha. When we arrived, the cable car service had been suspended because of the lightning, so we headed for the Sanctuary of the Mall, where I managed to find some egg tarts. These had been on my bucket list to try and I was not disappointed, they were excellent. A couple of egg tarts later, the gondolas were back on and we headed off on the 20-minute ride over the hills towards the Po Lin Monastery and Ngong Ping village. The wee village is really pretty and thankfully the rain had gone off. We were amazed to see these buffalo at the side of the road. At first we genuinely thought that they were very realistic looking animatronics, and it wasn't until one of them started having a slash that we realised that they were real. Thankfully they were pretty docile, as they were rather fierce looking beasties. put the drone up to film the Big Buddha. All was going well until I checked the screen, and when I looked up I think I saw someone else's drone. At that point in my mind the drone wasn't responding to my inputs and I thought I had a flyaway situation. I had to return to home and eventually found the drone hovering where I'd set it up. To say that I was extremely relieved was an understatement. As Corrine was feeling below par, having picked up the cough thing, I set off on my chod up the 250 steps to introduce myself to our potential new god, and to see if we could possibly compromise on the abstinence from heedlessness issue. He was even more impressive up close, as were the statues of his female worshippers. Some unkind people might argue that I'm currently looking more like the wee Buddha than Bruce Lee, but I've not been very well. I didn't notice at the time, but on reviewing and editing the footage I was surprised to see these swastika symbols in the fence. A quick Google search explains that the Buddhist swastika symbol represents the auspicious footprints of the Buddha. Apparently in Hinduism the swastika symbolises prosperity and good luck. For our last night's meal we made our way to the Wooson Road Hawker Centre, where I ordered some salt and chilli king prawns with cashew nuts and fried rice, and Corrine ordered chicken fried rice. The rice was possibly the best fried rice I've ever had. In total the meal came to £28, which was quite amazing value considering that I had a large bottle of Tsingtao to wash it all down. The next day we had a rather early start for our Thai international flight to Bangkok, which was thankfully only a 2.5 hour short. We really enjoyed our time in both Dubai and Hong Kong and would thoroughly recommend them both as fantastic holiday destinations. Thanks for watching this, and I'll hopefully get round to the Bangkok and Singapore video shortly.